Hello, my name is Alyce Smith-Cooper, and I'm speaking to you today on behalf of the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother. You'll know more about her as the time goes on. But the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother today meets Rick Ireton. And we're talking about the chakra key, which is all about love. All of the above is all about love. The Golden Brown Fairy Godmother and Rick Ireton. Welcome, Rick.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. It's great to be with you today.
It's blessings for all of us for you to be here.
Yes.
Because you are the man who talks about love in quantifiable ways. The energy, the energetic love.
Yeah.
And you've got pictures to prove it.
Yeah. You know, love's one of those tough topics to talk about. It's been tough for ages and ages. And so for a long time, people wouldn't even talk about love because it was so related to sex. And so it's been a topic of even taboo. But really, love's a really important idea. It's a really important concept that we grasp, that we really have an understanding of. And within love is the reason that we're here. It's our very life is based on it.
It's the only reason that we're here. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have been able to objectify it in a way that we can see it and almost taste it because the colors are so vivid.
Yeah.
Please tell us what you've done here to help us understand love.
Okay. Well, first off, what we're looking at here is a picture of a man. I call him Chakra Man. And the chakra key combines Hindu thought with the chakra system and Hebrew thought with the 7-candle menorah. And when you turn the menorah 90 degrees, the menorah maps the interrelationships of our chakra system. And the chakra system may be new to you, but the chakra system is this energy that's going on within our body that we don't see. It's like electricity. It's kind of the magic that makes us work.
It is energy, and what you are pointing out here in these 7 orbs of color are actually energy vortexes or vortices that are in our body. Everyone has them.
Yeah.
Everyone who has a human body has energy vortices, and we're not talking about animals at this point, but we probably would find that they have them too.
Sure.
But nonetheless, we're talking about energy vortices, and whether you're talking about it from a Hindu perspective, from a Hebrew perspective, it's about a human thing.
It's about a human thing.
Okay.
Right. So what the menorah shows us, what I kind of discovered or stumbled onto with the menorah was how the menorah maps the interrelationships of our chakras. And when you look at the menorah, you put it up against the human chakra system, you can see first off that the center menorah, the center candle, is the mast. And it's the point of which your 3 lower chakras come off of, and then adjacent to those are your 3 upper chakras. And so the heart chakra, as it lines up, shows that it's our key chakra, which is, really important for us because it also shows that it's the most important chakra. It's the most powerful part of our body. But what this also shows is how our root chakra is connected to our crown chakra. And the crown chakra, energetically, again, we don't see this, but part of our body is there's an energy field up here above our heads that connects us to the divine consciousness, or to God, basically. And so
we've got more. There's more to our bodies than just the skin. We don't end at the skin.
We don't end at the skin.
Okay, all right.
A lot going on. So these branches map the interrelationships of our chakras. And you have your crown to root, and your sacral, which is your drive for sex, goes to our mind. And if you think about it, there's lots of good logic why God would make us connected our great drive for sex to our mind, that we might be mindful of our sex partners and the whole aspect of reproduction and sex, and there's an energetic aspect of this as well. But it's very interesting. This is like new information for all of us, and won't pretend that I've got it all figured out. I'm just basically sharing these things as seem obvious to me.
As they're revealed to you, you're giving them to us. That's wonderful.
Okay, so the other one is the solar plex to the throat. And it's so interesting about this drive is it's so practical, because when you push on your solar plexus, it blows your air out of your throat. But our solar plexus is our drive for power. And we all have a root drive for survival. We all have a drive for sex. We all have this drive for power. These issues relate to our body and to our survival and to our reproduction and to the fact that we're going to be here on Earth as a species.
As a species, that we
As
will continue to survive. Yeah. And then there's the heart. And what does the heart do for this whole system?
Well, the heart shows how it's the key chakra, how everything hangs off the heart and how everything goes through the heart, which is so beautiful to think that in our drive for survival, which is our fundamental drive is to survive, that this drive for survival goes through the heart and then it goes through the crown up to God. But the idea that we would have compassion, we'd find balance. Really, this heart is our balance. You have 3 below, 3 above. So
this is more the animal part of the human species.
Right.
That's what this is, and this is the part that separates us from 4-legged animals, or just operating on the animalistic level. So that the heart then gives is the crucible that kind of allows all of these other components, the spiritual components, to be added to the animal component. That's what makes them the human being.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the idea is, and there's just so much wisdom that we can get out of this, but in a general speaking, the idea is that we have a body, but we're not here on Earth for this purpose of just for survival or just for sex or just for getting all the marbles if you're a kid playing a game of marbles. Really, it's to live in this zone up here, to live in a concept from our heart, to find balance, to speak, to sing, to be an expression of who we are, and to think. Because our brow chakra has to do with our mind, our visual, our seeing, and our crown is connecting with the divine. So really, the reason we're here to be an expression of this divine essence of who we are.
Well, is it an integration of all of it? I mean,
Yeah.
is there anything wrong with having all the marbles if you're able to actualize it in a way that would give God the glory?
Well, that's where it comes into the heart, because the heart
Okay.
weighs all things.
Okay.
Love weighs all things, and that's where this kind of all comes back to love, and the concept of depending upon a situation. If you're playing marbles with your friend and you both want some marbles.
Oh, everybody wants marbles.
Okay, so
I mean, those are the toys. Everybody wants toys.
So there's something to be said for sharing the marbles.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So, but it's a balance to the whole mechanism of who we are, and what this does, it's so important and beautiful, is it really looks past our skin and looks into the soul of who we are as spiritual beings. Because while we have a body, ultimately we're not a body, and this leads into just another conversation about, where we might come from, the souls, and what we're here. Why are we here?
We're not only a body.
Yeah.
But the spirit part of it couldn't function without the body. So the body is important. It's necessary, and it seems that from what I'm understanding you saying is that it needs to come into some sort of balance.
Yeah.
And that's what the heart is
all about.
It's all about.
Balance. Yeah.
So in order to get that balance from the energy of the heart, which seems to be the master love vortex, if I can say it that way.
Yeah.
That's something that the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother would understand, because she's all about love, and so I can definitely relate to that. So if the heart is the balancing component, why are so many of us out of balance? We all have hearts.
Well, part of the problem is just awareness. We're not awareness. There's a lot of things happening that fly below our level of consciousness, our radar of consciousness, that things that are going on that we're not really quite aware that they're happening.
So you mean we're not all connected up in here? So we don't have this light shining real bright up here.
Right. Like we realize we have a voice, but we just don't realize how important our voice is. I mean, some people are gifted and they can sing beautifully, but as a person, to understand that really your great power is within your voice. It's within your ability to communicate and sing and to be able to take in information, to connect with the divine, God, and to be in your area and to be a master. And your voice is your great way of communication and of sharing and expressing.
Yeah, but you got to have something to say. And a lot of people, and you have to believe that what you have to say is important to the rest of the world.
Right.
And I can see that that's a part of what this area would have to say, would have to dictate, would have to be balanced by the heart.
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, there are some people who function so much in this area that they don't seem to function down here, and then they don't seem to function well at all either.
Yeah, that's the
So
balance.
I mean, there's the lack of balance that can take place in any arena, which is why I think probably we have so many. We listen to people who don't necessarily have the greatest consciousness, but who may have a lot of this energy going, like entertainers. I mean, it comes out of their
Sure.
throats.
Yeah.
But what's going on up here
Yeah.
is the question. I mean, basketball players, oh, certainly, they've got all of this going,
Yeah.
and a whole lot of heart to get out there.
Sure.
But what do they have going on up here if they're behaving in such a way that love is not really being exerted, or the example of love is not there that would be a balancing feature?
Well, and it's like we have this time. Here we are on Earth. We have so much time. We have so much energy. And there's a saying that goes, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And the idea of being able to understand this, and that we can master our attention, we can master our energy, we can master our purpose in life. And the idea for us is to be that inner expression of who we are, that's dying to come out of us. That is who we are, and that's where we should be focusing our attention. And while we need to focus some attention on survival issues, like, for instance, we all need food and water and shelter and all that sort of thing, and the sex is a time for that, and that we need so much power, but this is another area of great conversation, talking about how much power do we each need as spiritual beings. Do I need a bazillion trillion dollars? No. Do some people want to rule the world in power? Yes. So the idea that we would have awareness of who we are as spiritual beings, and to know that we're here for a reason, and that reason is buried within our soul. And ultimately, it's up to us to be an expression of that. And who we are is perfect. And it's the idea that the more you know, the more you grow. It's good to have if you feel inspired about animals and you want to be a veterinarian, it would inspire you to help you to go to school, of course, and to be involved with that activity. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so if you have an inspiration about something, the idea would be to flow energy into that inspiration, so that it's like a little tree or a little plant. You want to water it all the time and begin to learn all the nuances of whatever that might be, so that at some point you would know everything about that. And that's what inspires you. It's why it gives you reason to get up in the morning, and excitement where you have a tough time closing your eyes at night because you're so inspired about what you're doing. And that's our key priority in life, is to discover what that is and then to own that.
Well, that sounds, on the face of it, absolutely utopian. It sounds wonderful. And I'm thinking that probably the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother sounds utopian and wonderful. I mean, here we have a deep space gypsy who has been all over the universe, and who knows so much about the progress and the process of the soul, and can be called on by simply directing a thought, and can come and can minister to those that are standing in need. But I'm not hearing you say how we really, I mean, that's the way the train flows and the whistle blows. But I'm not hearing you say how we actually access this heart energy to balance all of the rest of this. Because all you have to do is call the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother, and she'll be there and speak to you in your situation. So how does that happen with this?
Well, our heart chakras is kind of like energy. as far as this energy force it's empowering our bodies. And a neat way to look at that is kind of like a rheostat on a light bulb, where you can turn it up and you can turn it down, and sometimes it gets down, and consciously, even if you're thinking about something that's not so pleasant, you can adjust your energy just with intention. Sometimes just by saying, like it's funny, but when you make yourself smile, sometimes it does something to our inner energy that just lightens our spirits up. And so you can just say, I know I want to lighten my load here. I'm choosing to be more into the light zone. I want to raise my...
So it starts with thought.
With thought.
It's
conscious decision.
Okay, a thought, a conscious decision, and then so there's some brain chemistry that fires here. So that's on the autonomic system level. So we don't have any real control over that, but we can call it.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we can call these thoughts, and they can then change our body.
Yeah.
So that we have more control over these energy vortexes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, and then also, kind of like when you go on a diet, and you're saying, like, listen, well, I'm not going to eat those pastries anymore, even though I really like them. So down here at this root level, or at some point you could say, boy, those sure taste good. But up here, from your mind, you say, well, those really are going to make you fat if you keep eating a bunch of those things. And so the similar thing to a diet is we take an emotional view of our life and saying, I could take this, it doesn't belong to me, and I could take that. I have that ability right now. But I know that's going to hurt my soul. That's going to hurt me. And there's all kinds of things that we come in contact with, from our thoughts to our world, that we can say no to, because we know it's not emotionally good for us. Because as spirit beings of really who we are, our spirits we're also very holy. We're also very pure and godlike. And we just can't tolerate within our soul much negative, we can't tolerate the lying and cheating and stealing business of any level, really.
So our souls are pure. Does that also mean that they're vulnerable?
Yes. Well, we're vulnerable to
negativity.
Well, actually, we're vulnerable to this drive here for survival. You're vulnerable. Say, well, there's this apple here on this stand, and I could just put it in my pocket. I'm pretty hungry. It'd be good for my survival. Just an apple is a simple example. But that can be just money. It can be not being a friend to somebody. Instead of splitting those marbles, I want all the marbles for me, and justifying it and saying that it's about my survival or something.
So justification.
Justification.
Yeah. of an improper act.
Yeah.
Of something that is not the truth.
Yeah.
So what we're dealing with is universal truths here.
Yeah.
And how does one identify a universal truth based upon your hierarchy here?
Well, the thing is, we just know that we all suffer and we all share the same beautiful root programs that involves a basic drive for survival, a drive for sex, a drive for power. We all want love and to be loved a lot. We all want to be an expression. We want to speak, and we want to, talk with people and be heard, and we all want to understand. We want knowledge and wisdom. And through all this, we want to because we are spiritual people, we want to connect with the divine. We want to pray, and we want to have that clean communication with our Lord.
Well, I think you make that assumption, and it's a very wonderful assumption, and it's probably true on a spiritual level. But I think that there are probably a lot of people out there that really put down this whole concept of being in touch with God, or wanting to pray, believing that they themselves are in control of their own destiny, as opposed to there being a spiritual mechanism that is in control.
Yeah.
How do you address that with this?
Well, I love the idea of the television set, because if you look at a television set, it's a box, and if you don't turn the television set on and see what's going on, you would say, there's nothing there, it's just a box. So it's a similar thing connecting with a higher power, is the idea of turning the channel on and just opening the channel up and saying, okay, anybody up there, and begin to have a conversation, and we begin to share a connection there, and it's a very powerful connection. It's our most powerful connection. So I think intuitively we know we're more than our body. We know that we're more than just this. There has to be more. I mean, this world is too beautiful. Nature's too amazing. You know, our bodies. It's all too much. There has to be more than just we're here just to kill each other over marbles.
Okay, so we're operating out of a basic assumption here.
Yeah.
And that basic assumption is that we have intuition, and that we choose to align ourselves with that has created us, believing that we were created by a larger entity, a greater spirit than who we are. And that there are some universal truths to be adhered to in order to be in balance, to have all this balance. So those are some universal things that, you know, those need to be acknowledged, and if not accepted, then recognize that this paradigm may not work for you. However, it can work for everyone because it is about energy. And energy has no parameters for anybody's paradigm or belief system. Energy is simply energy. So I think that's an important thing to be very clear about, and to understand that it does have ways of being regulated or deregulated, as it were, and that our thought processes have a great deal to do with that. Well, I want to see if I can try something here.
Okay.
I like your analogy of the weight issue. Obviously, it's something that I work with on a daily basis, and so I'm trying in my mind to utilize your paradigm and to include in it something that I think is very important, and that is linguistics. I think that what we say to ourselves and what comes out of our mouths is extremely important in repatterning ourselves.
Right.
So let me see if I can say what you said, because I have just taken in this heart energy, because I do want to alter my body temple. I want to be in balance. And I think that there's a way that I could be more in balance than I currently am. However, for all of my before adult and adult life, I've always looked at that repatterning as you spoke of it, in terms of a diet.
Right.
And not being able to eat the things that I like to eat.
Right.
So let me see if I can begin to repattern this, because I've taken in some very deep breaths as you were talking, and I've seen this green heart light. And I'm trying to expand this for myself, and I'm trying to bring it up to my throat and to my brow for a higher vibration of thought process. So what I'm saying to myself is that I want to repattern my body temple. And that in so doing, I want to make better choices for the energy that I take in, for the fuel that I take in, so that fuel increases my ability to run my body and to burn the energy that needs to be burnt, to burn up the excess that I have accumulated, and to then put me into the shape that I desire to be in for the optimum integration of the energy and the use of the energy.
Beautiful. Yeah. Plus, you'll feel better.
Exactly. Energy. That's the operative word. But you notice, I did not say that I was going to DIET, or that I was going to withhold anything from myself that I like. I didn't, and because if I had said those things, I would be breathing like I'm breathing now. Because that's what the body does. Yeah. I would be restricting my energy. But as I was saying that, I was visualizing myself as a much more healthy person, a much more lithe person. And because I do so love clothes, much more able to wear the fabrics and the cut of clothing that I would like to wear. So those were the things that were happening. It wasn't just linguistic, I have to say that. But it was linguistic in that I did not use any of the phrases that make me go,
Yeah.
but I consciously brought in that green heart energy and moved it up in order to get a better picture of myself. Now, it will remain to be seen how successful I was. I mean, 6 months from now, maybe we'll have to do a retro here and see. But I certainly feel better about it.
Yeah.
Maybe on my next trip to Extraordinary Desserts, I'll just have a cup of tea. Who knows?
Yeah, I know.
But nonetheless, there's a shift.
Yeah.
There's a shift. And I think that's what you're essentially talking about in the utilization of this energy, is that we shift from the absolute dependence upon the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus without utilizing the throat, the brow, and the crown, and incorporating the heart energy.
Yeah.
Such important concepts.
Yeah, it is. And this concept really leads us to the golden rule. And the golden rule is this fundamental idea. It's an old idea about do unto others as you have others do unto you. But ultimately, it's speaking to energy. And that when you're talking about your diet or you're talking about any issue that you might think of, energetically, it's the concept, because we are energy, we're this energy. And when we send an idea or somebody love, we send them goodness, send them our best wishes, our best intentions, we're sending them an energy. There's an energy going out there. This energy, it's all this movement going on, and it's a power, it's a force. And so from that perspective, we have the ability to be this powerful force because we're so much energy. And the idea, the more you give, the more you get. And when you smart about it, saying, well, I want to be loved, so I'm going to only give good, loving energy. And I'm going to send all my customers love. I'm going to send my family love. And I can consciously decide, that I'm going to be this radiant source of love energy. And when we make that decision about becoming a radiant source of love energy, we turn ourselves into this antenna, in essence, of love, of energy that goes out there. Because what goes out comes back. It's all circular. So whatever you send out, it comes back. There's a saying, it's beautiful. What you yell into the canyon yells back the same thing at you. It's the echo effect of things, and it's one of these key aspects of wisdom that it's so important for us to get this idea that we all have these natural drives, and you can get into the I have to and I want, and you can get into the idea of we all have the ability to be angry, but because we're so smart, we know there's not doesn't pay a lot of dividends to be angry, because somebody's just going to be mad back, or somehow it just comes back to you. And so we change the game. We can intellectually change the game, saying, I'm going to be patient. This isn't happening at quite the speed I'd like it to happen. Or
that's more heart energy.
Absolutely heart energy. Yeah. Or we can say that, in the scheme of my life, I don't really need that much more power. I pretty much have enough power where I am right now, where I don't need to work 7 days a week to survive here. And I can begin to focus more of my time up here. I can survive, but instead of making my whole life based on making money and survival, when I know I have another aspect of my dream, I can say, well, I'm gonna maybe live a little less here, but I'm gonna live up in this area here where I'm gonna have a greater attention, thought, my flow is going to be going towards my dream, towards being this radiant source. And with that, I know you don't take it with you anyway. And again, the idea that when it's all said and done, it's not how much money you make. It's not how much big of a house you're in. It's how did you invest your love while you were here?
How did you invest your love? Now that's a fascinating concept. And I'm thinking also of other terms that we use that indicate the same thing that you're saying. What goes around comes around. I've heard that many times in my life.
Sure.
As above, so below. Right here. As above, so below. So that if it's all integrated, then we're picking up the root, the sacral and the solar plexus energy. We're taking it to the crown, the brow, the throat. The heart is ameliorating the whole thing. And so there we've got the 8 of infinity, which we talk about as everlasting life, which then comes, from the Creator. To thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. You said do unto others as you would have them do unto you, but then there is the thing of love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, the self part of that has to come first. If you don't love yourself,
right,
your neighbor or anything else is not going to get the benefit of the balanced energy.
Yeah.
So the truths are all around us, and they're in our language, our idiomatic speech.
Yeah.
I'm impoverished in that I only speak English, but I do know people who speak other languages, and I'm always asking them, now, how do you say this in your language?
Yeah.
How do you say as above, so below?
Yeah.
Or how do you say praise the Lord? I mean, there's these concepts are universal, and everyone gets them, no matter what the shape of your eye, the color of your skin, the height, the breadth, the geographic location. Everyone gets these energy vortices, and in our language, we're programmed to be integrated beings.
Yeah. And I guess while I'm thinking about it, I would like to bring up a little topic that's kind of a big topic, and it's the concept of sex. And looking at this sex chakra for a second and seeing how it goes to our mind. And it's the concept of something of controlling, because it's a really strong part of all of our bodies, and that ultimately our mind is kind of a logical thinking device. It's like a computer, and it's that way for a reason. But even it can be taken over, and it's the great problem we have with, for instance, with pornography, and for people taking too much into this and powering this area up improperly. It can be stimulating, but it's not really involved with your life path. It's kind of a big waste of time, and it can be a complete distraction. And
is that the whole rheostat concept again?
Well,
so if the rheostat is turned up in this area, it's turned down in other areas. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Well, in that it's this, ultimately this energy is for this, so that we might power us to be on path for our inspiration, which would be some high, beautiful thing. And
inspiration as opposed to simple gratification.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Physical gratification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for some people, it's mental gratification as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for some, I fear that it's spiritual gratification.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna open up that door, you may as well open up the door, because we recognize that energy is utilized for some very malevolent uses.
Yeah.
And if we're going to speak about this, we need to speak about the fact that this is the ultimate.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate, and there's nothing here that is going to overshadow the crown or the superconscious or God, as however you choose to identify it. So that if you're using all of your energy in this area, it, as you say, is pretty futile.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have some results, it may have some indications of results, but in the final analysis.
And the thing is, it can be damaging, because we are such tender, emotional creatures. And there's that aspect again of guarding your heart, the idea that because we are emotional and that we choose to be happy, we are looking for happiness, we are smart enough to say, I'm going to guard this area, I'm going to guard my heart. Because
out of the heart are the issues of our lives.
Yeah.
that's where the germ,
Yeah.
the kernel, the seed of procreation really abides, because yes, it needs these areas,
Right.
but the foci, the real implanting of the concept comes through the heart, from the crown.
And,
So I hear you. It is a waste of time.
Yeah.
But people get caught up in that aspect of their personalities,
Yeah.
of that self gratification. It's kind of like being caught up in the hormonal time of being the puberty, of pubescent in puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just I don't know what more to say. I'm so far beyond that physically and emotionally, but I'm still very compassionate for those that are in that state, because it is so very real for them.
And powerful, right? And this is why that we're having this conversation is to raise consciousness and awareness about what's going on within our body, so that we might be better students. Because
since we're here, you open it up. I mean, it is a very seductive subject. What happens if you're stuck there? How do you raise that energy?
Well, ultimately, there's a saying again that goes, where your attention flows, your energy goes. And so if you feel that there's too much energy going in this way, you stop thinking about it. You stop watching. You take your attention away from that and point that to something that has greater value, which would be why you're here on Earth anyway, and what your great inspiration is for life. So that's really the key, is that you know that it's everything we have we can control, with the exception of some drugs, I might add, that take your body over. But most things in life, we have the power to say no. We have the power to not give it energy. There's another beautiful saying that's turn your back on the shadows and face the light. And in a sense, we all have some sense of a shadow, whether it's something that happened to us in our life that was hurtful or painful, and that we can kind of go visit that pain sometimes, and sometimes we just energetically turn our back on that, saying, "Yep, I know that happened, but I'm all about love, and I'm facing the light. I'm only going to be light, and I'm going to love that as well, knowing that whatever happened was for some reason, and I've learned the lesson." And this can lead us into another conversation about being here on Earth as students and teachers to learn about.
Well, it leads me to the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother.
Okay.
And what she calls her treasure chest. And it is a beautiful, beautiful carved, embellished box. And it's got ivory and gold and some gemstones on it. And she's got a huge lock on it. And when she sees those young people who are just so burned up by their lusts and so filled with their sense of self-importance, which really she knows comes from a sense of feeling inadequate and unable to deal with the world, she gathers them all together, as many as she can put on her magic carpet, and that's a bunch. And she will bring them to her abode and serve them tea, because she knows the importance of the tea ritual, and give them lovely things to eat that will satisfy their palates. And then she takes her platinum key, because a golden key is not good enough for this lock, and she opens the chest. And when the chest flies open, and it does fly open because the energy in it catapults all of these things that are inside of the chest open, and the kids that are looking, their eyes pop open, and they say, "Well, GBFG," that's short for the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother. "That's terrible stuff in there. That's drugs and alcohol and incest and murder and prostitution, and that's all of this stuff inside there. Why are you showing us that? And she said, I wanted to see how you felt about that. Because you see, so many of you are involved in all of that now because it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds good. Mm-hmm. And it blinks at you. And it beckons at you. Mm-hmm. And you want it because it makes you feel so powerful. Mm-hmm. But after you have experienced the ritual of life, which that's what the tea ritual was all about, just in case you didn't know, and you recognize that you are a person important to God with a purpose in life. And now that you see all of this energy coming forth as dark and ugly and wasteful, what do we do now? It's all out there in the universe. And then the kids, who are no longer kids, somehow or other they've grown up in a few instances, they begin to put their heads together and say, well, what can we do? We will have children one day. We don't want our children to be bombarded by all of this cloud of energy that we have released. What shall we do? At that point, they learn the lessons of sacred practice. They learn how to use the violet flame of the Holy Spirit. They learn how to use prayer. They learn how to use meditation. They learn how to use the words of wisdom that they've been given under the tutelage of the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother and whichever other wise adults they find around them. Who knows, Rick Ireton might be one. And then the box slowly begins to close. And it's not that what has been released is brought back. It's like feathers blowing in the wind. You can't get them back. But you can neutralize them with that heart energy that you're talking about. And that crown and brow and throat energy. Because now it's time for them to tell the stories. Sing the songs. Explain the truths. And that's what the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother gets to do.
Well, you know, what you did there was to enlighten them as to what's going on with their life. What's showing them. It's a class. It's a classroom for them. And really, the idea of these chakras is understanding this aspect of these power centers and how powerful they can be if we let them get away from us. Every one of them. I mean, this concept of the root chakra is really primeval. The idea that we're in the wild and there's a tiger running after us or something. And this chakra actually goes to your adrenal glands. And so it gives you this extra boost of energy so you can run as fast as you can run to escape. I mean, all of this stuff is part of our hardware and it's all for a purpose. But all of it it's all kind of without having the mental understanding of what's going on, it can run wild. And I think that's a lot of the problem with these power centers are so powerful. If we don't have an awareness of them and have a understanding of their forces and their powers, they can just overtake our life. And they seem like our integrity because it's so powerful. It says, yep, I feel this here, and that's part of my integrity. I've got to do that.
Well, you know, we get energy, we get information, we get wisdom, and we incorporate it and we use it for a while, and then we kind of go to sleep and we forget some stuff. But that doesn't mean we don't need it again. So if I were to gather all of this information about my crown, brow, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root chakras, and utilize this key, and I'm okay for a while, and I'm radiating the love energy, but I need a little refresher, a little booster shot, as it were, to my immune system, my energy immune system. Well, how would I go about getting that? Where can I get this information? Is it someplace where I have ready access to it?
Yeah. You can go to chakrakey.com, and you can download this image basically, and there's more conversation about each of the different chakras, and there's each of the drives associated with the chakras. And I have another amazing image called the chakras, the chakra vortex, which accompanies this. We're not showing right now, but it's also very telling. And the idea is just that we would grow. We look at ourselves as students and teachers, and we're all both. Sometimes we're students, and sometimes we're teachers. And
sometimes we're both.
It's important to be both. But the idea is that we would grow in wisdom about our body and understanding about what's going on, and then to shift our focus into what's most important. Where's the money? If you have a burden about helping babies, or you get into the art of love, how can I most creatively be an inspiration of love? And that's a beautiful lesson.
An inspiration and an expression.
Yeah. And then to shift your time and your efforts into being that expression, and to, when you get tempted by sex, or by having to have an excessive power where it's overtaking your life, you can say, well, I'm looking for balance here, and I have a higher calling, and I'm going to listen to this higher calling, because it's really who I am. And I think one of the great tragedies of our time is for a person to age, to be involved so in a workflow that doesn't really inspire them, and to be involved in something where they're not shining, and to live a life of not shining is a terrible thing, I think. And really our great purpose is to find a way to become more involved with your shine, and with those things in life that it's your way to give goodness, to share goodness, to be this expression of love.
Your light.
Share the light.
Well, for Rick Ireton, it is the Chakra Key and the Chakra Vortex. For Alyce Smith Cooper, it is the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother and the telling of stories, the telling of truth tales, the telling of the stories that will allow people to grow in grace and grow in the use of their energy and the integrated love energy. So you can access Rick Ireton at www.chakrakey.com. You can access the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother by going to www.alycesmithcooper.com. That's spelled ALYCE, Smith Cooper, commonspelling.com. And these are images, concepts that are available to you for your use, but also to be as sparks for your creativity, because we each have a purpose, and we each have a drive, and we each have a need to share that drive in order to be complete in the universe as we live it, as we live the lives that we live. Thank you very much to you, Rick, and to Mr. Walter Davis for all of his important technological and spiritual assistance and encouragement, because we certainly wouldn't be here were it not for him.
Absolutely.
And to you who are out there listening, watching, observing, live the best life that you can, and certainly utilize the energy that we're putting forth as love to assist you in any way that will help. Many blessings to you.